Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to be referencing, well, this is a new study, but trust me, studies have already been done in the past and I've covered them in past videos. One of them, if I remember in particular, and I'll try to find it and post a link to it in the description of this video, referenced the fact that, 18% of women and 22% of men in this country are economically literate, which means a full 82% of women and 78% of men are economically or financially illiterate. Now think about what that means as a prospect for people who are of voting age and get to determine the social and economic path this country's on going forward. I mean, if only 1 in 5 Canadians, whether they're male or female, if only 1 in 5 of them are economically or financially literate, then having them choosing or determining which political party comes to power in regards to the economic policies that they implement, well, it's probably not a good idea to use people that don't understand math or economics in positions to economically enslave millions and millions of people. That's a bad strategy no matter which side of the political aisle you come from. And what we're seeing today, and this is going to be referenced in a Globe and Mail article, is math and finances. Well, that's only one area. The education system in this country, as expensive as it is, as bad as it is as far as economically enslaving a lot of these young people, because that's the thing. They've been sold a bill of goods. Oh, you got to go through academia. You've got to get post-secondary education if you want to be prosperous or get a job out there. So, you know, we've seen, especially the millennials, an entire generation of them where they're all going to these institutions, these post-secondary institutions, but they're coming out on the other side of it not even gaining or gathering or garnering a genuine education. So it's a lot of waste of money. And actually, because we're seeing, especially if they were in the social sciences, actually you're paying to be indoctrinated at this point. Anyways, headline: 1 in 4 Ontario post-secondary students lacks basic literacy, numeracy skills, studies said. This being reported by Joe Friesen, post-secondary education reporter, November 27, 2018. About a quarter of graduating students in Ontario's post-secondary programs lack adequate literacy and numeracy skills, according to new research from the government agency that monitors the system. The Higher Education Quality Council of Ontario completed 2 large studies of more than 7,500 students at 20 Ontario post-secondary institutions and found that a large number of students achieved scores below the level it considered adequate to succeed in today's job market. Less than a third of graduating students scored at a superior level. So even with all those students, less than a third, less than 33% of them are coming out of these academic institutions even being properly prepared for the job skills or the job potentials or prospects going forward. Think about the amount of money that, whether it's the students themselves are paying or parents that are helping pay for these post-secondary education. Think about the money that's being squandered and wasted for absolutely nothing, where they're not actually getting any tangible benefit on the other side. And not only are they getting a benefit, we should soon start talking about the negative aspects and ramifications and implications of having a dumbed-down society entails, especially in regards to social and economic policy going forward. You really got to think about that. Harvey Weingarten, President and Chief Executive of HEQCO, said the research is among the first of its kind to try to measure employment-related skill outcomes in the higher education system. He said one of the main reasons students pursue post-secondary education is to get a good job. But while universities and colleges say they prepare students for the world of work, employers are frustrated, he said. Many employers say the students they encounter don't have the communication, problem solving, and critical thinking skills they're seeking. Yeah, because a lot of them, like I say, most of them out there today, you got a lot of social justice warriors and leftist activists that dominate academics. These are the teachers, and just listen to people like Jordan Peterson. He's pointing out there, and he's in the belly of the beast. So yeah, he knows what he's talking about. Is a lot of these cultural Marxists or postmodernists are teaching these students, and no wonder they're coming out on the other side of it, not only being ill-informed, but ideologically driven and indoctrinated into a cult-like mentality or psychology. Yeah, these are people that are definitely not willing or capable of using their critical thinking skills. It troubles us that, in our opinion, too many students are graduating with skills in those two areas that are not as highly developed as we would like, Dr. Weingarten said. We need to do better than we're doing now. This work aims to measure student skills and provide a basic for understanding what is valued in the labor market and how those attributes could be taught. The first study examined literacy, numeracy, and problem-solving ability, while the second looked at critical thinking skills. Both studies involved students in their first year of post-secondary learning and those in their last year. Students volunteered or were recruited for the studies, and therefore the sample was not random or representative, nor were the same students tested at the beginning and end of their schooling. However, Dr. Weingarten said this research provides the basic for future experiments that could begin to determine what works best in higher education. On literacy and numeracy, the study found that the largest number of students, about 45%, received a score of 3 out of a possible 5, which HEQCO called the minimum requirement for graduates to perform well in today's work world. About 25% scored below that level, and a little less than 30% scored at a level of 4 out of 5, considered superior. The test was not measuring whether students can read or do arithmetic, but whether they can take written or numerical information and use it to solve problems. Is it okay that 1 in 4 students from Ontario's post-secondary system has below adequate literacy and numeracy? That number should be 0, Dr. Weingarten said. If the skills they're graduating with aren't adequate, how do we teach those skills in an efficient and effective way? The truthful answer is we don't know, but we know how to find out. The second study looked at critical thinking. The results showed similar levels of analytical ability on average, with little difference in the scores of those in the first year of study and those in the last year. Ross Finney, one of the co-authors of the second study and a University of Ottawa professor, said the data showed the need for long-term examination of the skills students need to acquire, which are critical to national prosperity and progress. It's not about turning out machines for the job market, but most students in post-secondary education want good employment prospects when they graduate. If we can help, that would potentially be an important contribution, Professor Finney said. Critical to national prosperity and progress. I see they tried to rectify that particular sentence by suggesting that it's not about turning out machines for the job market, which, let me just say, hey, Google the Prussian model. That is literally the very basis and starting point for the education system in Canada and, to a lesser degree, or to a certain extent, in the U.S. as well. Egerton Ryerson, a Canadian figurehead, traveled to Europe in the 1800s, I believe it was in the 1840s, in an endeavor to seek out some kind of education type system or process that streamlines the population into being nationalist, conformist, respect of the state, and good little worker bees. Those were the very basis, wants, and desires of those who created the education system in this country, was to literally create or churn out, like a machine, a whole lot of people that are willing to repeat and regurgitate the talking points of the central planners, but also at least competent enough to be able to be gainfully and skillfully employed and providing for the political masters, or contributing to a constant and ever increased GDP. Because that's basically what you're talking about there today, is that there's no respect for the individual. There's no acknowledgement anymore of the individual. Everything's all about sacrificing everybody and anyone at the altar of the state, or growth and prosperity of the state, or GDP numbers. Forget about morality, forget about common sense, forget about doing things with much more market-oriented, voluntary, participatory solutions to help put each and every individual on the proper path for their social and economic prosperity going forward. No, once again, this one-size-fits-all approach, well, as we're seeing, it's failing time and time again, and the fact that there's now, at least people, you used to at least historically get your academic education through the public school system, but you got your moral education through religious institutions. Today, the religious institutions, well, they've almost gone by the wayside, especially for the younger demographics or younger generations. So now they're getting their academics, which not working out so well, and now they're even getting their basis for their morality from these institutions or from government. And once again, we're seeing where that's failing them as well. So yeah, a one-size-fits-all approach, as we're seeing time and time and time again, for any country, like I say, Canada, comprised of 37 million people, a one-size-fits-all approach, well, this is the result. This is the consequence. A massive and rampant amount of failure that all comes at a great cost. Like I say, both socially and economically. Well, and I might want to add into that equation politically as well, because like I say, these people, these are the voters of not just today, but of tomorrow as well. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.